What's going on, NavalX community? So again, I've got Mr. Bill Bray once again. He is the DASN RDT&E, which again is the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Research, Development, Test, and Evaluation.
That's right.
I almost lost it there.
That was good.
So Bill, we've talked on some other videos on kind of some of your priorities and what those are. What are some other priorities you've got in the DASN RDT&E realm?
Yeah, so one big area that we worked really hard over the last 2 or 3, actually 4 or 5 years with my predecessor, Dr. Bray, was prototyping.
What do you mean prototyping?
So prototyping is kind of, how do we use technology today and apply it into new ways, or bring forward a one item, new thing that see how can we apply it into solving warfighter solutions.
Okay.
And one of the big efforts we've been doing over the last 4 or 5 years is what we call Advanced Naval Technology Exercises.
ANTXs, right?
ANTX.
I've heard of those.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So ANTXs. In fact, we just got done doing one in June down at Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
And on one of the previous segments, I talked a lot about the importance of bringing the warfighter together with the engineer. And with ANTXs, that's exactly what we try to do. So we try to really start with what is an operational problem that the warfighter is working on. So, and it could be, agile, resilient logistics. It could be moving data from one point to another. It could be a specific mission area. We did one with Marine Corps. It was ship-to-shore maneuver.
Okay, sounds fun.
And so really get them in an operational environment.
Yeah.
We rely heavily on the warfare centers to really help us work through this. We bring in the operational folks, enlisted officers, help us state the problem. Let's look at what technologies might be out there, and then we'll put out an offering out to the commercial services offering, is what we call, to industry, and you say, hey, if you have technologies that you think would work in this space or help the warfighter,
Sure.
bring it forward. Give it to us, we'll look at it, we'll assess it, and then what we do is we actually take it into the field and run an exercise, like we did at Camp Lejeune. Really a low barrier of entry for the industry partners and the players, as well as the labs and warfare centers, to be able to come in. We provide the environment, we provide the warfighter, and they, industry or the labs will bring the technology, and then we just see how it performs.
Okay. So is an ANTX a day, 2 days, a week? What's the kind of the time frame?
I always talk about it as really a year long.
Okay.
Because what we start off with is very early. What's the real problem you're going after? Working with them, do a little bit of war gaming or tabletop exercises to get a better understanding of the technology. Then we put that technology out, and then in the field, we usually get there for about a week's time frame. It depends on the problem and where we're at.
So there's a lot of build up to the actual ANTX event. But it's actually probably a whole year before that.
Absolutely.
The preparation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because what we want to, and what we've seen in some of these events is, going into the event, we'll get the brochure of a technology that says, hey, this is everything I do and I'm great. And we'll assess it going into the event. And maybe it gets a 10 out of 10. But then we run the event. And then what we find is in the real world environment, putting in the hands of the sailors and Marines, and we let them run it in the actual environment, rain, heat, maritime environment. Sometimes the technology in the brochure doesn't perform as we would expect it in the field. And so
that's what we test for.
That's what we test, right? And so we can come
RDT&E, test and evaluation.
There you go, right? It's R&D and T&E, right?
There you go.
And so we bring that technology in, and what we'll do at the end is the warfighter assesses it, they'll score it, the technologist and engineer will assess it, and out of it we get a score. We can look at it, is it worth bringing forward, either trying to build it into a program of record, maybe continue it on in the S&T environment.
When you say S&T?
Science and technology, right,
rolled
into that, or just not applicable. But we do give that feedback also to the industry partner that comes in. So they get the direct feedback of what worked and what didn't work for the technology. So I think it's a very powerful event. We're actually getting ready to sign off some paperwork for March of 21. We're going to go out. We have N9, Admiral Kilby, off to have N9, and Lieutenant General Smith from CD&I, from the Marine Corps, and myself, we're going to sign a letter out that really drives us to the next big event in March of next year. So
Excellent.
we're starting that next cycle. And there are also other ANTX events that will pop up that may be not as structured.
Okay.
Newport.
Yeah, I heard about them working on
Yeah,
one.
Newport does one. Crane has done some in the past. Nywick Pack, Nywick Land,
Okay.
Carrock. So a lot of the warfare centers will do smaller, innovative ones. Pax River has done a few with the fleet. But it was really those concepts of trying to get technology in a relevant environment with the warfighter there to help us understand, is that something we want to take on, move forward, and deliver on a prototype in the field.
And so, kind of a wrap up, the ANTX is an ANTX event, whether it's a year or that week of doing it, is really prototyping something, researching, developing it, and then putting it in the hands of the warfighter to really test it.
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for more from Mr. Bray and kind of what the DASN RDT&E structure is and things that they're working on.